All right, hey guys. Good morning, good afternoon. How are you? Wanted to. We got a lot of guys on today. That's awesome. Thank you for all you guys who are on. For those of you who weren't on last week, I want to explain our new format here because we have so many people joining the call. I had to go through a different format to use a different. I guess a different format, a webinar type format instead of just a conference call format. And the reason for that is because with so many people on the line, there's a lot of feedback. It's really not a conference call. It's we don't have the ability to all talk at the same time, and I guess that's okay. I mean, I liked them last year where we'd have everybody kind of talking back and forth at each other, but it started to get a little bit busy, and at this point, actually, we've got more than 20 people on the call right now, and people keep jumping on. So we can't have 20 people all talking at once. So what I did was I switched the format here to to this. Already, guys are typing things in T-Rex, right? So if you have something to say, go ahead and type it into the chat feature or the question feature on the console there. And we'll make it as interactive as possible. Everybody's muted, so you can't speak out. But I think I have the ability to unmute people one at a time here. And I think that's what this, the raise your hand type thing is there. If you've got something that you want to say, I can probably unmute you and you can talk. But probably the best way to go about doing it is just type it in. It feels a little bit weird for me, I'm not going to lie to you, to just be talking at the telephone and the computer with nobody else talking to me, knowing that you're all out there listening to me. So I'll just do the best I can, but please, if something comes up, type it into the chat thing so that I can address it. Feels a little awkward and not quite as personal as I want it to be, but I guess that's the way we're going to have to do it. I am recording this right now. I did record the last one. But for some reason I didn't record it in the right format, so I can't. My goal was I wanted to put it on YouTube and then embed it somewhere where you could watch it. But I put a link to it where you can kind of download it, and I put the Facebook thing up here and the Twitter thing up here. I don't do Twitter very much, but Facebook, I think that's where I'll post this stuff. I don't think it's anything that's terribly proprietary, that if somebody sees it, they're going to get all of our trade secrets. I guess I could password protect it if I had to, but we set up this Facebook thing where I can post stuff on. So I'll do it there. Can everybody hear me all right? Can you type something in that questions thing? And besides dinosaur references, which if anybody doesn't know the dinosaur references, then they're never going to go away. So maybe at some point we could review them. But I do think of the dinosaur story often. Thanks, guys. Thanks. Lots of guys typing in. So this is a little bit weird. Now we have over 25 people on the call, which is awesome. It's just weird for me to be yapping at the telephone, not at you guys. So we'll get started. One thing I wanted to mention right away is that I wanted to do a thing about products. I wanted to spend a good deal of time about products. And lots of you guys have talked to Scott with questions about the new products, and we've got some new variations of programs, and we've got some new dealers in different parts of the country where we have to change it up a little bit. And what I've found the last 2 times I've tried to do this is it's just too much for me to be able to include in this call. In fact, I started to work on putting together some information and I guess a presentation about the products and programs for this, but I found that it was going to take me 2 hours to do it. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on products again today, and I think what my goal is going to be is probably to record something like this, maybe offline and post it somewhere, or maybe have a special separate call where I literally go over each and every one of the products, each and every one of the programs. We've got some really cool new products that we've added, and I talked about those last week a little bit too, and spend a good amount of time on it. I just can't seem to fit it into this particular setting. So for those of you guys who wanted to jump on today and talk specifically about products, I want to tell you up front, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I just don't have the time to stick it into this particular setting. The last thing I want to do is keep you guys on the phone for 2 hours. In fact, last week when I did the call, I said we'd probably be on, or I'd be yapping for about a half an hour, and then an hour went by and I was still yapping. So I know how busy you guys are. I know that most of you, are still out on the road trying to finish up the year. So the last thing I want to do is to spend 2-3 hours talking about bacteria. That's not exactly going to be productive. So again, I'm going to do it offline. Maybe I'll announce it to you guys that I'm going to do it, and if you want to sit through it, you can. If you don't, obviously you don't. So I know that Scott sent out an email saying we were going to talk about products and programs today. I'm not. Does anybody have any specific questions that you want me to address first about products before I get into some other things? I don't want to go more than an hour. Hopefully we'll keep it to well under an hour. But if anybody wants to ask anything specifically about products, programs, do it now. Well, then that's good because nobody asked anything. All right, so cool. Let me go ahead and get started. And please, stop me if you have to. Type it in there. Make dinosaur references. So a couple things we're going to talk about today here is to welcome some new dealers. We're still actually having a really successful fall, more so than we expected it to be, and we keep bringing on new companies at a pretty high rate. I mentioned this last week. Our goal is going to be at 75 total companies by the end of the year. We're going to hit that. I think we're up into the 60s at this point. Again, products, we won't talk specifically about products, but if anybody wants to chime in and ask questions, they can. A lot of you guys send me questions over email or through phone calls, and a lot of them apply to everybody. So I took a couple of the best ones, and I want to answer them for everybody because I think there's valuable information there. I want to again review the new website that Luke's about to launch and the marketing campaign we're going to do through it. I want to talk about NOFA and some great stuff happening at Harvard. And then I want to touch real quickly on planning, because as you end this year and move into next year, lots of you guys have asked for help with planning. So I've got some good worksheets to help you work on that. So just in the last couple weeks, we've brought on, I don't know how many dealers are here, but it looks like, I guess, 15 or so. So I want to welcome, if any of you guys are on the call, and I think a good number of you guys are, because, again, actually we're getting close to 30 people on the call. Wow, cool. So Greenway Pro out in Colorado, Maple Creek Landworks right here in New Hampshire, Davis Grounds Management, Robert Davis. I don't think I saw Robert. Robert, are you on the call? Give it a click if you are. I had a good conversation with Robert yesterday. He's down in the Georgia area, so we've put together a good program for those guys to deal with their red clay. So if anybody else has issues with clay or red clay throughout the country, we've got an awesome product that's going to help break that up and help the microorganisms colonize in there. Lawn Concepts in Texas with Blake Taylor, Monson Landscaping, Minnesota, Bob Ott Landscaping in New Jersey, Clement Brothers up in Maine, Fregoso Landscaping down in Mass. John, are you on? I don't see him. John is actually on Martha's Vineyard, which is pretty cool. Immaculate Lawns in Ohio, Keith's Lawn Service down in Florida, Natural Turf in New Jersey, Poison Ivy Removal. That's supposed to say ivy, not ive, like burl ives. Anybody watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer the other day with burl ives? My kids were a little freaked out by the abominable snowman. Rising Sun Landscaping in Connecticut. Tim, who's been hanging around with us for a couple years, we're really glad to have you on board now for real. And Turf, Ohio, Chuck Derryfield, he's out in Ohio. So welcome to you guys, the new members of the network. Thank you very much for joining us. Absolutely, totally appreciate it. Again, I'll always say that the biggest benefit of being part of the network is to actually network with other people. We've got a group of companies all trying to accomplish the same thing, and you know, we learn from each other. So network is a good word. So thanks, guys, for joining up. All right, I want to get right into a couple questions, and I took the liberty of actually posting the question themselves. I didn't mention who asked the questions, but there's some really good information here. I'm going to read right through this. Tom, so I need to get the office running more efficiently this winter, everything from bookkeeping, invoicing, bidding, routing. You get the point. I know MLQ can help a lot with this. I'm trying to figure out the best software to use and which will work best with MLQ, even if they don't sync right now. Right now we're running QuickBooks, which is okay, but I'd like something that's a little bit more tailored to the lawn care industry to help with routing and scheduling. So let me start there. And if anybody wants to chime in with what they're using or what they suggest, I'll mention it. Let me read the second paragraph because that's where I'll springboard into it. What did you guys use at Lawn Dog? I've heard Real Green is good, but might be out of our budget right now. I've heard, I hit copy and paste twice there. This looks like it could be nice for bookkeeping, but overlaps with some of the MLQ features. So let me start right there. At Lawn Dog, we used Real Green, and it was really, really awesome. I love Real Green systems. Operationally speaking, the scheduling part of it is really good. The reporting part of it is really good. I mean, I literally ran the entire business off of Real Green reports. It is a little bit expensive, and they have different levels and layers of commitment. And Joe Cusick, who owns Real Green Systems, has been coming to our trainings because he's really, really smart when it comes to marketing. He's always been very, very cutting edge with how to make it easier for lawn care companies to actually market to not only their existing customers but to other, you know, to potential customers. So I saw him somewhere in the last few months, I forget where, and asked him if he would come do, you know, 90 minutes of training, and he was more than happy to, because he kind of advertises his systems and services to our dealers. We don't have any agreement with Real Green by any stretch of the imagination. You know, we don't you know, get a kickback or anything if anybody signs up. The weird thing about Real Green, or two things about Real Green, is one, it's still software. You still need to actually install software into your system, which is, at this point, seems to me a little bit, I don't know if I want to say archaic, but the way, you know, most cloud-based programs work now, you don't need to download or upload software. So they hit you for a good price with that. I think if anybody knows the answer to this, type it in. But they do have an entry-level program where if you have fewer than like 200 customers or something, they'll charge you like $2,000 or something to start the soft. Yeah, 5,500. Somebody's typing in. That's Brian. I think that's for you know, for the high end, for more than like 5,000 customers. They do have a level where if you're small and just starting, they try to make an attractive fee, and it's, I don't know if it's 1,000, but it's lower than the 5,500. 5,500 is like unlimited customers and like 2 or 3 users or something. 8,200. Yeah, okay. It gets expensive. It's an awesome program. It will really absolutely help you run your business. It's probably one of the best investments you'll ever make, but it's steep. The other thing about Real Green Systems is that they do the very best they can to absolutely monopolize everything you do. So you get on with the initial cost, and then they start hitting you up for other things. So if you want to use the handheld unit for the guys on the road to actually, you know, enter their stops and product and that kind of thing, it's an extra charge. If you want to use mapping assistant, which means that it helps the guys route their customers, they'll charge you for more. They've got a measuring system that's sort of like my lawn quote called Measure Assist, which is another $2,500 a year. They're going to hit you up for printing. They want you to use them for invoices and envelopes and on and on and on and on. That used to piss me off a little bit, and that's not to say that it's not a bad thing, because all the stuff works really, really well. It's good. It's just going to get expensive. So a couple other guys are clicking in here. Yeah, paper products, Brian, they do. That's what they're going to hit you for. We used to at Lawn Dog, because I was annoyed with the fact that they wanted us to only use their invoices and their, all their paper. They said that you couldn't use anybody else. We went out and found a printer that would provide the exact specs of what we needed for much cheaper, so you can do that. But Ricky brings up Service Autopilot, so let's go to that for a second. Yeah, Mike too. Hey, what's up, Mike? Service Autopilot is a new system that they came to us with. I forget, the guy's name is Jonathan Patashnik, and I don't know if we went to him or he came to us, or I just know him, but he owns a company called Service Autopilot, which is sort of like the new modern Real Green. And a couple of our guys joined it, used it last year, and we're pretty happy with it. I think one thing I heard about the installation and transition was that they got a little backlogged. So when they were trying to get up and running, the support was a little bit less than to be desired. But it's an option, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper. So I encourage you to look at that too. I'm looking at the questions. Sorry, while I'm kind of pausing here. Andrew Newland, is that you? We've used SAP and their service is awesome. What's SAP, Andrew? Charlie, sorry. I'll talk to you about that later. Oh, SAP, Service Autopilot. Yeah, okay, good. Andrew says that he's using Service Autopilot, and it's really good. So Andrew Newland's out in Colorado. If anybody wants to talk to him about it. Andrew, do you mind if I forward people to you to answer questions about it? Awesome, thanks. So if anybody wants to talk to Andrew Newland at Newland Landscaping out in Colorado, he will answer any other questions about it. So it's an option out there. So about to continue on here with different options. QuickBooks and accounting is something that you obviously want to have separate from your operational system. So QuickBooks is really the industry standard, or the standard for everything. So the way we'd have it set up is our operational and marketing software would go through. We used Real Green. You could use Service Autopilot, whatever you want to use, but either that should integrate with QuickBooks, or you should have your accountant or your bookkeeper or your office manager always keep track of your accounting in QuickBooks using reporting from your operational system. So the question was, is there something that you can use that kind of avoids QuickBooks? And the answer is no. You do need some sort of accounting software to keep track of accounts payables and receivables and everything else. So he goes on to say it was a rush last year to keep moving early spring and crazy after that. Need to streamline everything this winter, just looking to create the best fit between MLQ, software, invoice, credit card processing. I would welcome your thoughts. We can talk it on the phone. Do you pass along processing fees for credit cards or absorb them as part of the cost of doing business? I wanted to address that real quick. You kind of pass them on, but you don't want to call it being passed on. You adjust your price list accordingly, because the cost of processing credit cards is going to start at 3%. You can probably get a better deal than that, but don't set across or charge a processing fee for credit cards. Just build it directly into your cost. So somebody asked a question here I wanted to. Ricky Telesco, MLQ, it should be a $20 credit every single month. I'll look into that. I'll ask Luke, but the My Lawn Quote program should offer you $20 off every single month. So typically the cost is $50 a month. He should be giving you $20 off per month, so it's only going to cost you $30. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Mike, good point here. The E-Myth Landscaper by Tony Bass, Game Changer, addresses all of this, as well as Van de Kuy Associates consulting book. So there's a couple of good recommendations to deal with the operations of your business. It's really important. It's huge. I mean, we talk about products a lot, and actually we had somebody who was angry that I didn't talk about products, and I guess they weren't there for the beginning of the call when I talked about how I was going to defer to that. But you have the best products in the world, and if you're not running a good business, it doesn't matter. So good point here, Mike. So the next question that I got that relates to everybody that I wanted to mention real quick here, I'm going to read it. Hey, Tom, how effective do you think the Winter Protect 003 would be a part of a bridge program? As you may know, in New Jersey, we're not allowed to apply nitrogen after the 1st of December because of frozen ground. Of course, it's going up to 60 degrees. The weather here has been crazy this week. It was in the 60s. Need to alter our hybrid program for next season. Problem we're having is that we can't get our 6th round down effectively because so many customers are covered in leaves. Of course, if we were Chemlon, we just spread it and forget it. And I like that line because I want to talk about that for a minute. Anyway, December seems to be a good month for us to work because most people are cleaned up. Let me know your thoughts. I know that the Humate apps are beneficial in many ways, and this is what the 003 seems to be. Ricky, I'll talk to Luke about that because it's not the way it's supposed to be. It should be $20 off all the time. So I'll get that squared away. Thank you for mentioning that. Anyway, so back to winterizer. A couple things here. The winterizer application, especially in the north, has always been, whether you're talking organic or chemical or whatever, up for debate. And I kind of want to mention my own personal feelings on it because I kind of go back and forth about it. I don't think a winterizer is terribly important. And I think that we probably added that winterizer treatment to be done in November and December as a way to add more revenue to our, to our lawn care programs. And that's okay. That's why I kind of go back and forth on it. We're all in the business here of trying to run a good business and make money, and you want to do as many applications as you possibly can. One thing that is definitely not a good idea is to apply a full-fledged high nitrogen fertilizer for your winterizer, and that's why New Jersey, places like New Jersey and other states have passed legislation that you can't apply nitrogen after a certain point because, especially if the ground's frozen, it's just going to leach and end up in the water. So if you still have applications to do towards the end of the year, and I always suggest you want to spread your applications over the course of the entire year, something like that 003 would absolutely do the trick. But the main thing that's being asked here is about the hybrid program and how to integrate some of these other products into that hybrid program. And last week we talked about what we're calling the Elements program. And in order to answer this question effectively, I want to go back to that for a minute here. And we talked about this last week, but I want to talk about it again. The Elements program takes a standard chemical program, which includes pre-emergence, post-emergence, insect controls, and introduces elements of the organic program. And the cost of implementing this program is less than your conventional or old-fashioned program, which is true. And we brought up this particular figure here. Most of you guys, if not all of you guys, still offer a conventional or traditional or old-fashioned or chemical lawn care program. A couple things. One, just by the way of legislation, the way New Jersey is right there, they're saying you can't use certain products at certain times of the year, and that's true. That's a good thing. So you're kind of being regulated out of it a little bit. But I think the natural inclination is that some of the products that we've kind of built into our really effective organic program fit very well into your standard program too. So we put together this Elements deal as kind of a way for you to introduce some of the organic program and products into your existing chemical program, and it's cheaper too, I think. I mean, compared to going into to John Deere and buying or talking to your regular representative, I think that this is probably going to be more cost effective. So, Growth Activator Pro Round 1, 20-0-0 with biological component, which is, again, the 20 is urea. It's biologically enhanced urea, which is going to allow you to really reduce your nitrogen inputs. Round 3, turf soother, which is a great utility type product, seaweed and humic acid. 15015 without biological components. That's again, that's urea with humic acid and some other things in there too. The 604 that we've taken the biological component out of that. That's an unbelievably cost-effective product. And then the winterizer, which in this case will be this I think is the cost of the micronutrient winterizer, but the 003 will work just as well. So I wanted to address this question simply by saying yes, the 003 is a great product to use as your winterizer. My opinion on winterizers is that you never want to use a high nitrogen or any nitrogen after a certain point because the turf can't process it. If it's gone dormant, it's not going to actually absorb it. So anything you put down is really just going to sit in the soil, and it better adhere close to the soil particles or else it's going to leach. So any nitrogen being put down at this time of year is nothing. At Lawn Dog, when we got to this point in the year, and trust me, we would treat lawns until the snow flew. We were using like a 0060 at like 2 pounds per 1,000 square feet, 1 pound per 1,000 square feet because it was potassium. We were just billing, putting down a product so we could continue to leave bills. And I don't want to, beat that up too much because that's what you got to do. You want to try to get as much revenue as you possibly can. So to answer the question, and it was Keith Hyde who asked it. I don't think he's on. Keith, you on this call? He's not. The answer is yes, and there are many other opportunities for those products to be implemented into your program as well. So, does anybody have any questions on that? This Elements program is something that you'd want to obviously also include, a pre-emergent. If you were going to do round 1 on your regular chemical customers, you'd use your standard pre-emergent, whether it's Barricade or Dimension or whatever. You can sell your typical grub control treatments. You'd go ahead and continue to use your weed controls. But the way I look at it is you want to, kind of begin to introduce organic practices. Sometimes you don't even need to tell your customers about it. In fact, I really wouldn't. You don't even need to talk about it. And you're going to be doing the right thing not only for the cost of the products, but, reducing nitrogen is a good thing. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the new website. Did anybody have a chance? Actually, I don't think when we did the call last week we had anything up yet. So let me review real quick. Marketing is important, and we've kind of stayed away a little bit from doing marketing for you guys. I know you've heard us talk about the difference between franchise and dealer network and all that stuff. So legally speaking, we're not allowed to actually market for members of the dealer network. That would turn us into closer to a franchise. So we can't do anything directly. But because it's so tricky, I wanted to blur the lines a little bit. So many of you guys have often talked to me about trying to put together some information that translates what we do to a consumer level a little bit better. And it can be confusing. And if any of you have ever tried to explain to a potential customer about biological components of lawn care, it's just hard to translate. So a lot of times you've asked me to try to put something together that dumbs that down a little bit for potential customers, and I have on a couple of occasions. But what we're going to do is launch a new website that's a consumer-centric website. So the existing BeeSafe Lawns website has a lot to do with trying to advertise what we do to other lawn and landscape companies. And a lot of you guys have explained to me that it's not your favorite. Because if you send a customer there, it looks like all we're concerned with is trying to recruit, new companies. And that's kind of what it was for, but it at times rubs people the wrong way. So what we're doing is we're working on putting together a consumer-centric site that's going to help with marketing. That's the goal. So here it's not done by any stretch of the imagination. It hasn't been populated with content. I wanted to bring it up because I want your feedback as much as possible. So this is going to be designed to allow a consumer to search for, say, organic lawn care and have this come up the same way the True Green site would, or Scott's, or any other the big national service companies would come up and be designed to advertise to a consumer and try to translate what we do on a more simple type stage. And again, a lot of you guys have asked me to write things up, and organic is very confusing for a lot of people. And there are times when I don't think you should even get into the details about what it is we're trying to accomplish. At the end of the day, people just want to have a nice lawn, and if you can tell them you're going to do it without using chemicals, that's even better. So Luke's working on this particular site. Again, it's not populated at all with content, and it's not really finished, but that's what we're working on. So one thing that we also want to try to do is to help consumers find you, advertise you as an applicator. So we'll have this particular setup right here, where you can enter your zip code and hopefully find an applicator. In this case, it's not done, so there's a fake one put in here. So it's going to immediately go to this company, Lawnmark Plus, which is just my made-up make-believe company. If somebody put in Colorado, Andrew, you would show up. If somebody put in Massachusetts, all the guys in Massachusetts, so on and so forth. You get the point. So it's going to go to this. It's going to give the information. Brian, how would it work without overlapping? I think it's going to have to overlap a little bit. So what we'll do is we'll put in here the ability to talk about or to put what towns you service, or there can be a radius based on that particular zip code. That's a good question, because it will be an issue. We don't have so many dealers that 10 will show up in each state, but so when they click on this, it's going to go to a description, an immediate description of whatever you want in there. This is how we're going to integrate the My Lawn Quote platform, because what we want the customer to be able to do is to literally find the website, find you as a provider, get an estimate right away, and even go as far as sign up and prepay. Now, I know not all of you love the idea of customers measuring their own properties, and you don't have to do it, that's for sure. But I know most of you do like it. I think that eliminating the multiple step process in making sales is important. So the fewer steps involved with somebody being able to find you and sign up is what we want to try to do. So we don't want them to call you, you print an estimate, go out there. It could take 2 weeks to get an estimate out there. We want them to be able to get real-time information, real-time pricing, and be able to sign up with you right away. So I'm kind of just going through the process, real quick here, but I think you get the basic idea. Yes, there will be a link to your site. Actually, let me go back. All of this information here, visit website, right here, Brian. So there'll be a link specifically designed to go right to your website. Visit website right here. So the way we set this up, though, I want to tell you guys is that at the very least, go to the My Lawn Quote platform and at the very least fill out a free account, because the dealer description is going to be linked directly to this. We can do it for you. It's probably more effective for you to do it, so I'm asking you to do it. I do think that you should sign up for the My Lawn Quote program, and again, Ricky, I'm going to talk to Luke and square that away with him, because it's supposed to be $20 off infinitely. It's such a low cost at $30 a month in order to be able to actually process instant estimates, take payments, sign people up in the middle of the night. It's like having a salesperson on 24 hours a day. It's a no-brainer. So again, what the point here is it's a marketing tool. We want to try to blur the lines of us marketing for you. So this consumer-based site is going to show up as soon as we get it populated and filled out. A homeowner will have the ability to search their particular zip code. It will go to descriptions of your businesses, and you'll be able to offer real-time estimates, real-time quotes, and if you want, actually take prepayments. So I guess it's a little bit complicated, but it doesn't have to be. We want it to be as simple as possible. That's the whole goal. So any questions about this? Do you guys like it? Is it something that that you think is going to be effective? I'm going to take a breath here and take a sip of water. If anybody wants to ask a question, go ahead. It's all about exposure, and we want to get your business out there to as many people as we possibly can. And I think this is, when we started trying to figure out a way to make the estimating process more streamlined, and then Luke took it to the absolute next level, the integration has worked out pretty well. I like it, and I'll keep you guys up to date as we continue to hammer it out. Well, that's a good question, David. How will we promote the website and ensure it shows up on search engines? That can be tricky. I mean, that's the name of the game. It's all about search engine optimization. I think when you Google organic lawn care now, BeeSafe does show up. But you know what shows up faster is Firebelly has always been able to jump up there pretty quickly. That's something that Luke's working on to build into the site as we go. But yeah, let's see. I guess part of the trick would be for you to promote it too. I mean, if you want to promote people to go directly to that particular site and then find you as a dealer, that would be good. Scott's Lawn Service, organic, huh? So right now, actually, Firebelly isn't even showing up in the front page either. I know BeeSafe's back in the third or fourth. Firebelly there is the second. So we'll try as best we can. It's all about content. It's all about always trying to keep up to date. And there's tricks to it too that most it's not easy to figure out. Search engine optimization is a big deal, and doing the best we can with it. So. Any other questions on that? I do think that you should go to the My Lawn Quotes site. You should sign up for a subscription. The regular $50 subscription will allow you to do inbound quoting, outbound quoting. And again, for those of you who don't know about it, it's something that we developed with Luke, who's our technical person, but he went and took it to the next level and kind of, instead of charging us a lot of money to own it, we allowed him to go ahead and offer it to other companies. But we have a significant discount with him, and it seems like there's a little bit of confusion. But when you sign up, use the code $20 off, and that will get you $20 off infinitely. And again, Ricky, I'll talk to him about making sure that we're on the same page there. At the very least, there's a free subscription that you can do that I really want you to do, because that's how we're doing the new website here. Is it's linked specifically to the profile on My Lawn Quotes. So let me show you real quick here. If you go to this, you'd fill out your business description here for free. That's going to link directly to the BeeSafe website. Good point, Justin. Justin mentions a really good point, links count, so it would be good for every dealer to have a link to their Batumba site on their own website. Yeah, linking is important. Anytime you can link your own website, which is actually, let me bring this up a little bit too. For those of you who don't have a customized BeeSafe website, some of you do, some of you don't. If you want one, it's not too late. I mean, you really should get one. We'd like you all to have your own customized BeeSafe website. In fact, I opened some of them up here. They look sort of like this. This is Safe Growing, our guys down in Tennessee. I don't know if they're on right now. Let me look. Brandon and Jeremy, you guys on? Nope. This is a basic BeeSafe website. Christy Garrison, where's hers? She did a little bit more with it. You can customize it as much as you want. You can do as little as you want or as more as you want, and Luke can build it for you. And it's a good idea. So if you want to do it through us, we can do a website and a subscription to my lawn quote for $1,500, which is pretty good price. So talk to somebody here if you want to do that, or me, whatever, or directly to Luke. Ricky, in terms of search engine optimization, is that what you're talking about? Luke does that for us, and he's pretty smart. Pretty smart guy. I don't think he comes out unless the sun's gone down. He's one of those characters. So the BeeSafe logo should link to your new site. I agree. There's lots of work to do. I think that we'll continue to get it figured out. I really like this Find a Provider tab. And the reason I do is because I hope it's going to literally generate you business directly from this particular home site. So if there's no other questions on that, I'll move off from it. But please go and do at the very least this particular description here, the free thing. You should sign up for this, which is going to allow you to do estimates and accept payments and sign customers up directly without ever talking to them using the satellite. I hear you, Brian. You almost made me spit out a bunch of water. So whatever. Do this. I think you should do this. Put in the cost. Put in the, what did I say? $20 off and get $20 off a month. Yeehaw. All right. Any other questions about that? Will there be back-end tracking to know when users click through the dealer's site? I don't think so. Let me think about that, Scott. There will be, because you will have, Scott asks, will there be back-end tracking to know when users click through the dealer site? Not directly from the dealer site, but through your MLQ account. They're going to have to, if a potential customer submits their address, MLQ allows you to track absolutely everything that happens. So yes, there's inbound and outbound, and that's part of the benefit of MLQ is it acts as a CRM. So every time anybody jumps on there and requests an estimate, it keeps track of it for you, which is great for follow-up for a salesperson or for you. Anytime anybody requests a quote, you are notified, and the MLQ backend tabulates it for you. As far as analytics through the actual BeeSafe site, I think that might be more complicated. So, because hopefully there'll be a shitload of traffic, and I don't think we'll be able to notify you anytime anybody hits the site. Possibly. I mean, I can ask Luke, and he's almost magic. He can almost make anything happen. So I'll ask him. How about if they only click on BeeSafe site, will you be notified? I don't. That's what we're talking about, Rick. Hopefully we'll have many tens of thousands of people clicking on the BeeSafe site. Maybe during the springtime, hundreds of thousands. I mean, it's going to be a pretty important part of trying to promote the business. I don't know if it would be a possibility to notify you anytime anybody in your particular area looks at the site. Again, though, I can definitely ask Luke about that. He might be able to figure out a way. Dick just walked in the office. Hey, Dick, say hello. Hey, guys. All right. I was just talking about the new site and trying to generate business and stuff through it, and the feedback's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah. Any other questions? How long-winded am I? I'm pretty long-winded. It's almost 2 o'clock. I wanted to mention real quick here something that I thought was pretty cool, and I think you guys will think it's cool too. And perhaps you can use it in spreading the word about what you do. I've been working with the guys at Harvard for I guess probably about 4 years now. I went down and met them, and I always talk about this at training, I think, so you've heard me mention it before. Harvard made a big decision to go only organic on the entire campus about 4 years ago, and that's when I first went down there and started talking to them. And they've done it all through really, kind of manipulating the soil biology using compost tea. And they had a guy named T. Fleischer, if you've ever heard of him before. He's a genius pretty much when it comes to microbiology and compost tea. He takes care of all the landscape in places like Battery Park in New York City and a couple other places, the Rose Kennedy Greenway in Boston, and Harvard. So they hired him to come in and test the soil, and he literally, they create a closed-loop system where they take compost or take the waste generated through things like grass clippings and, tree pruning and even food waste, and literally create compost on site and manipulate that compost into a compost tea to match up exactly and specifically with the biological needs of the turf. Now, that's not something that any of us are going to do anytime soon, but it's what the BeeSafe program replicates. The BeeSafe program does all that sort of out of a lab. Obviously, it's not closed loop, and we're not doing it off of our own grass clippings. But so Harvard hired T. Fleischer to do this for them, and very successfully they transitioned the turf to organic over the course of the last couple of years. And I've kept in touch with the groundskeeper there, and he came up to one of our trainings a couple of months ago. Wanted to mess around with some of the product. He did. Scott and I went down there the other day, earlier this week, or maybe it was last week, and they are going to transition to the BeeSafe program. So Harvard University is, and they placed an order to be delivered for next spring, one of the most cutting-edge organic experiments in the country, and really a pioneering type experiment, is going to now start to transition to the BeeSafe program. And I mentioned NOFA here because for those of you who don't know what NOFA is, it's the Northeast Organic Farming Association. They've got a land care division that is kind of the standards that we follow here in terms of what's acceptable and best practices and that sort of thing. Yesterday they had their annual, they call it their annual gathering, their meeting. And the keynote speaker was T. Fleischer, who spent a good part of his speech talking about his successes at Harvard, that we kind of just took over. And they're still doing the tea brewing, and he's still kind of running it a little bit. But he had to give the okay to the grounds guys at Harvard to actually use our product, and created a slight bit of discomfort when the keynote address to the Northeast Organic Farming Association was about his success at Harvard that we just kind of took over, and it made us kind of proud in a way. And I think that that's why I wanted to tell you guys about it, because we are continuing to make really big breakthroughs with a lot of the customers that we bring on. And these are the kind of things that I think that will be valuable to you guys as you explain what you're doing to potential customers, or in this particular case with Harvard, to bigger sites. And we talk about Scarborough a lot. I think Dave Malevsky, Dave, you're on the call, right? Dave got the big Scarborough job. You should continue to go out and try to put bids in municipal properties and universities and private schools and that sort of thing. And I encourage you at every turn to mention that places like Harvard University freaking Harvard. Think about it. And it was funny because we were down there walking around, and we got the tour, and we got into some really neat places where typically the general public doesn't get. We're talking one of the most prestigious campuses in the entire country is transitioning to what you guys are doing. And I encourage you absolutely to use that as often as you possibly can. So I thought that was pretty cool. I've gone a little bit longer than I wanted to go here. I'm actually at an hour. I wanted to talk about the, Andrew asked, is Colorado University still transitioning to organic? I think I did read something about that, Andrew. I know lots of stuff is going on out in Colorado, including Durango, which I don't think is anywhere near you, but the entire city of Durango is transitioning to organic. Yeah, he is working with them. Chip's working with the city of Durango. Guess how he got the job? Yep, we got him the job. So it's everywhere, and Colorado is absolutely a hotbed for it. So I encourage you to use examples like that to get more business. So I wanted to talk about the planning process a little bit, and I've kind of gone a little bit longer than I thought. Press releases. Any press releases you guys have about these great initiatives with Harvard and such would be great to have a link online. I agree, Scott, absolutely. Sometimes places like Harvard don't like you to make public announcements about their private business, and I only know that because of Universal Studios. We asked Universal Studios if we could do something like that. For those of you who don't know, Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida, uses the BeeSafe program, and they've had really good luck. They're very, very happy. So I don't know if it was a mistake or not, but we asked them if we could promote that fact, and they pointed us to their legal department, and it was going to be a long, drawn-out process, talking to their lawyers and to see if they would allow us to use them in literature and promotion, and they weren't a big fan of it. So that, a press release about our relationship with Harvard would be great on our part. I'm not sure Harvard would allow it. We could find out, but if it's anything like something like Universal Studios, they usually just don't want to go down that road. The same thing happened at Bowdoin College. We're putting a bid on too, but the previous provider plastered all over their website that they were taking care of Bowdoin College, and then they got in big trouble. So you have to be a little bit careful with that. I wanted to talk real quick about planning here, and I'm not going to spend any more time on it, or as much time as I wanted to, but you guys should begin the process, should almost be close done with the process of planning what you're going to do next year. And you guys have seen this document come up more than a few times. I'd like you to, or I'd encourage you to fill this out, to work on something like this that's going to put together your projections, not only for your lawn care business, but for any business, anything that you're going to do. And I won't go into it. I was going to, but I'm not going to because we've been at it for more than an hour now. So real quick, your beginning count, your cancels, your sales, your new count, revenue per customer, optional services, gross sales. If anybody wants to spend some more time talking about this, give me a call. I'll post it somewhere where you can get it as well. Renewals, most of you should have gotten out your renewals by now. You can generate lots of prepay revenue, renewal campaign. Here's the beginning part of a marketing campaign. If you need to make 500 sales, if you want to make 200 sales or 2,000 sales, I would use sources like this. You can determine how many leads you need to run, how many sales you need to make, the closing percent. Marketing planner, again, this has to do with printing and that kind of thing. Optional services, how many aerations and upsells you're going to make, how you're going to flow those leads over the course of the next 12 months, starting in January. Most of your selling will be done by May, the end of May right here. How much it's going to cost. So you guys hear me talk about this a lot. It doesn't make sense to fly blind with these kind of things. The more time you spend now, Brian, yeah, I posted them. If I haven't posted them, I check that Facebook page. I might have posted them there. I'm trying to figure out a place to put this all where you can get it without having to hide it and keep it away from people. And I know that a lot of it is sort of proprietary, but I'm not a big fan of worrying about people stealing stuff. It's not that complicated. But I did get a web domain where I'm going to start posting this stuff. I did put it on that Facebook page, I think, so you can get it there. But as I was saying, planning is incredibly important. You can have the coolest trucks, you can have really good hard-working employees, you can have a really good lawn care program. If you can't figure out how to run your business, especially in these kind of tough times, you're not going to make any money and you're not going to be able to stay open. And I know a lot of you guys have been in business for a long time, so you're good at it. I know some of you guys are newer at it, and you need to get better at it. And any help I can offer in terms of budgeting and planning, I'm a firm believer in you have to absolutely spend time, especially this time of year, preparing for what's going to happen next year. I was always at least 90 days, sometimes 4 or 5 months ahead of what was really happening. So if it's December now, I'm thinking about what's happening in June. You got to spell it all out, and if I can help in any way, take advantage of it. There's a couple other questions here I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna kind of wrap it up now. So if there's any other questions, ask them. Any press releases? Yes, Scott, I answered that. You have marketing material for larger accounts like universities. Ted, awesome question, and I wish I had mentioned that before. We're going to start to build that right into that consumer-centric website, because those larger potential customers are potential customers. They're consumer-centric. So especially with large municipalities and private schools, there's a really painful and evident disconnect in terms of specs. So when an institution puts something out to bid, especially a lawn care account, a lot of times they do it based on the specs that they've been using for 20, 30 years, and that doesn't apply to what we do. It's totally different. And instead of actually taking the next step and trying to figure it out, they say, oh, screw it, we'll just stay with what we've been doing. And we need to work harder, or I need to work harder, or as an industry or as a company, we need to make that kind of information more clear. We need to tear down those obstacles a little bit and simplify it for them. So that's going to be part of that new consumer-centric website, meaning that large institutions or campuses or municipalities are potential customers, and we need to make it easy for them to begin to use your types of service. So specific marketing material, meaning like a brochure or a flyer, we really don't, and maybe that's something we'll work on too, but I think it makes sense to try to spin everything off that new website, and I will. Guys, I'm officially have been talking for an hour, and again, the products, this is why I didn't go into them, because there's so much to cover that I need to do one specific thing, or a couple specific webinars or calls specifically on product. And again, I'll probably do it not during our regular weekly call, because I like covering these things. It's a very important time in your business, even though it's the off season. It's it's a time to plan. And I'm beginning to stutter. Any other questions, guys? Anybody want me to unmute them so that you can tell a bad joke involving dinosaurs? All right, last chance. I'm here all day if you want to call. Hopefully I was able to answer you. Yeah, old boy is right. Hopefully I was able to answer your questions. Any other questions you want answered, feel free to email them. Feel free to call. Scott isn't going to be here. He's left. He's getting married. So he will be out for a week. He's going to like someplace in the Caribbean somewhere and getting married for the second time. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. And again, if I can do anything to help you out, I'd be happy to. Give a call, send an email. As soon as I said Scott's getting married, the comments started flying in, and the last one is stop him. We didn't want to stop him. Scott's a good guy. and he's got Karen's a very nice compliment to Scott, so we're happy for him. But we kind of busted. Maybe we should have done a bachelor party for him. I didn't even think of that.
You weren't invited.
Yeah, that's right. We weren't invited. All right, guys. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you again soon. Again, Ted, yes, the products, I'm going to work on that right away, and I'll let you know, I promise. Tell them to be safe. I will. I'll tell them to be safe. Thanks, guys. Talk to you again.